Hello, hello. Good evening, good evening. Welcome. My name is Obendako. Welcome. It's another day, another conversation, and I want to just give you some highlights on conversation that we had with somebody who considers himself a corporate person who says that he's tired of working for people and he's he's thinking of starting his own business. He says that he's tired of working for other people and he's thinking of, you know, starting his own business. It's a conversation that we're having, it's a chat that we're having. And I want to have that chat with one or two people. There are several people who, right after school, had what they call an opportunity, to be employed in what they call corporate world. So maybe when they say corporate, what my understanding is that is an organized business, it's an organized company. They went through a lot of processes to get employed there, and there are structures, departments, and they work there. They work with their expertise. They could be a manager, they could be the CEO, they could be all the positions that they have in such companies, and most people work there for years, and afterward when they are doing restructuring, when they are reducing the workforce, when there is a problem, this gentleman that we had a conversation with feels that you spend a lot of your years working in such companies, and yet just one person's wrong decision can send a whole you know can change your life in a minute. And so he thinks that he's tired. He says he's tired and he wants to start a business. And some of the things that I think, if you have that kind of background, the things that you may want to consider before you say that you are tired and you want to start a business. Because the thing is, it's not that easy. If I should use that word, it's not that simple. It's not that straightforward to say that I want to work for myself is at least better. When you are carrying, let's say, working in the corporate, let's say the load is 20 kg. Maybe the stress level, the workload is maybe 20 kg. If you want to work for yourself, as they term it, if you want to become an entrepreneur, if you want to start something, I would say the work then becomes like maybe times 100 or something like that, becomes like 20,000 or 2,000, something. It's heavy, So if you have worked in all this environment for 10 years, for 20 years, and you feel like this is not for me, it's so, tiresome. I feel like my life is not the way I want it. And I think that if I start a business, I'll be better off. Maybe it could be a good option for you, but there are things that you may have to understand that it's not that simple and it's not less stressful going to start a business by yourself after having been in such industries for years, and you're thinking, contemplating, you're tired. Some people can get angry, because what they have is maybe a house and a car, and they have all these certificates, they have worked in all these organizations, and sometimes they don't even give them position. When another position comes, they call somebody from somewhere and give them the position, and you have to virtually, you know I have not had that kind of experience, so I don't know. But the little I know and the little conversations that I have is that from the other side, it's not that simple. So you may want to condition yourself, you may want to change your mind, you may want to get proper information before you say that I want to work for myself and I want to be my own boss, because there's nothing really like being your own boss. There's nothing like that. You are not going to be your own boss. There's a lot of things that you must carry. And so we had a discussion, and I was asking the gentleman that what informed your decision? Why, after 10 years or so, why are you thinking of starting a business, and what kind of business that you want to start? And so he talked. He said that no, you have worked, and I think that this is the time for me to step out and go and try something on my own. And I didn't ask whether he had family, whether wife, children, if there were some codependence, some dependence on him. I didn't ask that. But what I saw is that he is of the thinking that he can get money by being by going private. But I told him that he, he needs at least he needs at least 10 years to really become a master and to really prove that he has what it takes to build a business. Uh, I don't know what he's coming with in terms of finance, in terms of management, in terms of how he understands the business that he wants to start, the connections that he has, the leverage that he has. I don't know. So what I know is, as the conversation was just on the general level, and the thing is that if he's thinking of starting, if he's thinking of moving out of the so-called corporate world and going to fight on his own as business because he doesn't want another collapse, maybe you work in a bank, tomorrow they say another collapse, then they tell you that to go and find your own life. Those kind of things he doesn't think that is right, and therefore he would rather want to fight for his own. So maybe he has a point. But for me, after 10 years of being in the corporate world, if you didn't do anything at all in terms of entrepreneurship, in terms of business, then I told him that you may have to gather some books and school yourself, read, because don't take it lightly like that. The fact that you see people who you think are better off doing business does not mean that you have the same kind of skills. Sometimes we ignorantly think that we are better off than somebody. We are better off. You think that the other person who has been able to build that you went to school, you probably have an MBA, you are an engineer or something, and you see this electrician with an electrical shop, he has a lot of workers working for him, he has contracts. So you ignorantly think that you are far more equipped than that. Not necessarily. If they've been able to do it for years, there is something that they know. So don't just look at somebody doing something and think that, oh, because this person can do it, it means that also I'm far more better. You don't know what has trained them, what has equipped them, what has strengthened them. And so I told him that you may have to read a lot to shift your mind from just being an employee to somebody who can start a business, because it's a world apart. It's not the same. It's not scary. It's possible, but you have fed on this kind of lifestyle for years, for let's say 10 years, where you are always certain of the revenue coming in, the monthly income is coming in. You are very certain, and you don't. Nobody calls you for you to pay them. The electricity, they will not call you. Nobody will say that you owe them. The business owes them, and you have to pay. You have an organized life. You have a life that is that much predictable. When you start a business, it's chaotic. It's not that predictable. It's stressful. A lot of the things that you are used to, maybe you just work in one department of the business of the corporate world. Whether you were at the finance department or maybe the projects department, operations, or the legals, you were just in one section of the corporate. Now, when you start a business, everything is with you. So you become the finance manager, become the operations manager, you become the lawyer, you become the designer, you become the webmaster, you become everything. Everything. You need a bit and pieces of everything. So all your life, you only focus on just one portion of your so-called corporate environment. Then it's going to be very difficult for you just to transition that quickly. So I suggested that you may have to, at least read about it, study about it, get some data on it, condition yourself. It's not impossible. It's possible. But the confidence that you think, because you have worked in the so-called corporate world, it means that you can just come and start a business, may not necessarily be the case. You may be coming with something, you may be coming with organization, you may be coming with some management understanding, you may be coming with some bit of order. But the other thing is the roughness, the chaos, the pain, the stress. You may not be coming with it. And that is what separates the others who win in the business world and those who fail. because it's not so much the technical understanding that you're coming with. It has a lot to do with the roughness. Can you go through the you know the uncharted road of business? So if you come in with that corporate straight away, corporate thinking, where everything is perfect, you will run away. So I told the gentleman that it's a good thing, it's doable. I mean, and once you're thinking of it, it means that it's a bother to you, because not everybody who is at the work at the corporate, you know, place is thinking of starting a business. So whatever push you to thinking of starting a business means that maybe you have the strength, to do the business that you want to do. So just have a shift of mind that this area is different, and it's going to take a lot of stress, a lot of energy, a lot of things that are very much opposite the corporate world that you know. But it does not mean that it's not doable. It's doable. So the first thing I said, that read, so that you can have a shift of mind from just thinking as a corporate, as an employee, to be thinking as somebody who is a trailblazer, who is an innovator, who is an entrepreneur, because it's a world apart. It's not the same. Even though you may be coming with some things that may be of an advantage, there is a lot that you may not be aware at all. So when you are thinking of shifting, when you're thinking of starting a business, when you're thinking of when you're saying that you're tired, and you're thinking of you're tired, I'm tired. You cannot be tired though, because when you enter the business, and that load was very little. And the other thing I told him is that if it's the reason, if the reason of you starting is just about money, then you may double think, because the money may not readily come, not the way I see it. It may not come in the next 3 months like the way the salary is coming every time. When you shift from being so-called corporate to, you say that you're tired, so you are tired of working with somebody, so you want to go and start. The money may not come in the next 2 months, 3 months, so you're going to test the whole model, you're going to test the whole idea. Anything at all can happen. You may fail, and that is part of it. You may fail. You may be flat on there will be blood everywhere. Maybe things can happen. I'm not scaring you. I'm just saying that things can happen, and if anything happens, it's just a part of the process. And so, if the whole drive is just that you want quick money, then don't target as, I want to start a business. Target as, maybe I just want money. Then that is different, so that your persuasion or your aspiration or your reason or the object will be different. But if you just shift from just being corporate and saying that I want to start a business and I want to get quick money, business is not quick money scheme. Business is built. It's structured. You go through a lot. Then when perchance you understand what you're doing, the money may come. But the money does not just come like that. So if you are of that thinking, that, oh, maybe I want to stop working here, I don't want to take any instruction, I've wasted all my youthful year. You have not wasted all your youthful year working in any corporate world. You have not. After all, they paid you. They paid you, they gave you money. And so if you're thinking, the premise of you, thank you, Stephen, the premise of you starting, going into private, going into business yourself, should be right. And it should not be out of anger, out of you are angry with the other people. You don't want them to be part of your future, so therefore you want to go private. And you think that you get money quick. Not necessarily. The money may not go that quickly. And so you understand what it takes here. It's a whole different thing. So the shifting of the mind is so critical. If you go into the private, if you go into starting your business and you want to think as an employee, you will struggle. So one is doable, it's possible. Two is not as you being employed. Going into starting your business is not as being employed. Thirdly, the load is heavy. It's not light. The only thing that may count is that there's some kind of freedom over your time. That's the only thing. But the stress is exponentially, it's exponential compared to wherever that you are working. And so when you work in a bank, when you work in the communication industry, the insurance companies, the mining, all these areas, the oil and gas people, and you think that you are being stressed so much, so you want to go yourself, You have no idea what you call stress. And so have it well defined so that you will not you will not be misunderstood. The other thing is that once you go there, family and friends may not give you some kind of face like that. Before they could call you a manager and they were proud of you. You work with Talo. They could easily call to say that my friend is the branch manager of something, something, something. And they were very happy. The moment you say that you want to start a business, they cannot. They don't know the business name. They don't even know whether you're an employee or you really starting business. They cannot boast with you. And so that's a phase that you may have to confront. You may have to accept. You may have to go through. The family, the friends, the people who know you may not welcome that idea that much because most people are used to the fact that you work in an organized environment. And for them, even if you don't give them money, the fact that they can say that you're a branch manager of this company or you're a manager of this company, you're the CEO of this company, they are very happy with that. And so it's going to be lonely for you when it comes to the relationships. And this is part of the conversation that we talked, the conversation that we had with a friend. And then you should also be ready to say the risk. It's a risk you're taking. If you're very uncomfortable with risk, don't take it. It's a risk you're taking. And it can be a very long haul, long, long, long journey of no success. Of no success. So it can be dangerous, it can be fun, but it's a long journey. So when you're shifting from this so-called corporate into you starting a business, know that is a risk that you're taking. Know that the so-called family, society may not be happy that much with you. They may not brag with you that much. They may think that your head is not working. They may think that you're confused. You don't know what you're doing. They will call people to come and advise you. They will tell you that you are off, and those are part of it. The other thing is that you have to know that financially there will be stress. Very few people are able to succeed that quickly. You will come to a point where you probably would not have anything if the business has not picked, if the business is not making any revenue. And even if the business starts to make revenue, you still have to develop the business, grow the business. So there will be a period where you are always very thin. It's always stress till the business starts to make some kind of sense. And so understand that part. And the other thing is that you have to give yourself a lot of time. A lot of time. And probably a lot of breakages. You are going to break a lot of the businesses, a lot of the ideas. So some people are very intelligent. They know how to transition. But if you don't know and you just want to go, then it's going to be, it's going to place some stress on the money. The other thing that you may want to look at is the fact that you have to be a good person. You have to go into this being a good person, being an authentic person, being somebody who says it's green and it's green, it's yellow and it's yellow. Because that itself is capital, that itself is credibility. That itself, people will start to deal with you just because your word is good. And so you have to come, especially if you don't have a lot that you're starting with. Your word should be so much important to you. If it's green, it's green. If it's yellow, it's yellow. If you say you can pay, you can pay. If you say you can pay, no matter who is pushing you, tell them, I'm sorry, we have difficulties, we can pay. When people start to understand that side of you, they will stop, they will roll with you, because many people will not be in that position to say I can't. So your word is very important. And the fact that you are coming from an environment where, a lot of things were done, well structured, you'll be able to package your business well and make sure that it's branded, is presented well. You have that kind of advantage. Anybody who has worked in any organized corporate environment comes with a lot of those. If they were good, they will come with that. They will easily be able to package the business as if it's been in existence for years. And that is an advantage for you. And so if you add the character to it, you have some leverage. And the other thing is that I don't think you should waste a lot of time trying to go into businesses that you have very little knowledge in. So for instance, if you work, say, in an insurance company, I think the business idea, where you want to start, at least the first one, should have some kind of link in that kind of environment. You cannot cut all the experiences that you have had for all these years off like that. Bring something. Is it the technical expertise that you're bringing? Or is it the leadership that you're bringing? Or is it the management expertise that you're bringing? Start the business in an area that you can leverage on all the experiences that you have had all this while. Let them come to help you to succeed. Because then that way you'll be able to succeed faster. Businesses struggle, businesses collapse, businesses don't do well because of the expertise of the people who start the business. The expertise in terms of the knowledge, the practical, the decisions, the understanding of the business, the product, the processes, the market, the ability to package the business, the finances, especially, all those. If you have any of those, they give you a better head start than the other guy who had to go through a lot of things. So the corporate world, they push you, they make you cocky, they make you proud, they make you feel like you're successful. But now you feel like you have wasted all your time there because you don't feel connected to destiny, you don't feel connected to purpose, you don't feel like you are in tune with life. If that is the feeling and you want to start a business, don't just think that because that's the feeling you just jump. Especially if you have family, if you have children, if you have wife, you may have to discuss, you may have to condition them, you may have to talk about it. You may have to get everybody connected, everybody who will be affected by your decision. You may have to have a very long discussion with them because it's not like you're just going in and the next day is successful. It's not, I'm not sure that you're just going to be successful like that. It may take a while. I mean, at least from where I stand, it doesn't easily start off successful like that. There are things that you're going to learn. And because you are coming from a background where out in the so-called corporate world, very few mistakes are allowed, and possibly you didn't even understand all the departments. So you just had a little place that you were working. Maybe you were a technician, you were an engineer, maybe you're a finance guy, you're a bookkeeper, you're an accountant. That's the side of the corporate world that you understand. The business that you start, everything you are everything. And so you have got to study faster for you to be successful in this kind of business that you want to start. So my name is Kwabena. I'm talking about a conversation that I had with somebody who says that he's tired of working for people for all these years, and he's thinking of starting his own business. So he's contemplating, he's guessing. The fortunate thing is that he's still a young man, and so he will have a fair chance of trying. Even if he fails, maybe he will go back and do another one. But I told him that there's no way he will fail if he doesn't give up. If he doesn't give up and he commits to training and learning and becoming better and start in an environment where he understands and he develops the character to be credible, and he has the resilience, the strength, the emotional stability to take the heat, the heat from the finances, the heat from the friends, the heat from the family, the heat from the economy, all those. If he's ready to take all this, then, because the thing is that we have had a lot, especially Africa or Ghana, most of the people that we have sent to school have left the marketplace for the people we think were not educated. We think they were not educated. So very few people with all this kind of education ever try business. Most of them don't try. They will just are waiting to be employed. And so when this guy said that he wanted to be, thinking of starting a business, and he's planning and he's thinking, what can he do? I asked him, so what informed that kind of choice? What kind of decision? What informed that? How come you're thinking like that? What informed that? He said, no, because I'm just tired. I've worked in a lot of these companies and I've seen what they do. And whenever I engage suppliers and marketers and and salespeople, I see the things that I say and how they pick them and how they work. So I think that I can build something like that. And somebody who's planning, who's thinking. There are a lot of other people who never think like that. They are very happy with the salary, and there's nothing wrong with that. Yeah, once they're happy and that's the life they want, that's fine. But if you are unhappy, if you are worried, if you are everyday thinking, is this the life that I want to live all my life? Is this what I bargained for? Is there not more to life than this? I am tired. I think I can do more than this. If you're like that, and maybe you are a branch manager somewhere, you're still thinking. what I will submit, is that don't just jump like that. Start to learn it. Start to study it because the other side has more heat than here where you are. If nothing at all, they will pay you. Sometimes whether you work or you don't work. But the other side, if you don't work, nothing will come. when you go, when you go to start that farm, when you go to start that company, when you go to start that construction company, when you start that whatever business, that microfinance, whatever business that you are going to start, when you start it, nobody is going to pay you until you work. The other side, sometimes you can even dodge and go and do all your other things. At the end of the month, they will still pay you. So here, everything rests on you when you go the business way. When you are saying that, oh, I can't work for anybody else again, the fact is that everybody is working for somebody anyway. So the words that you use are also very much important. I've worked here, I've worked in all this corporate world, I have nothing to show. Those words are very much important. You have nothing to show not because they didn't pay you salary. They paid you salary, but you did not manage them well. That's why you have nothing to show, because they paid you. So you cannot, I don't think it's appropriate for you to just be that ungrateful for all the people that you have worked with, or the areas that you have worked with, the experiences that you have had. I think that you are grateful for the experiences that you have had, but then you want to try something else. And so, you go not as bitter, not as angry, not as pain, not as feeling like you have wasted your time. That is very much important because that will give you extra energy, according to my view, than just being, ungrateful and sometimes fighting back and being vindictive because you think that they wasted your time. That will extract or that will dissipate energy more than you being grateful, thankful for the skill that you have had, the experiences that you have had, and you want to go and do something you think is of more importance to you. So because the load is heavy there, it's heavy. When you start a business, it's heavy. Everybody will disagree with you. That one you have to welcome it. People will disagree with you. If you have a wife, if you have a husband, there will be disagreement. There will be heat. You will not be able to say the next month I may get this money or I may not get this money. And you still have to live. You still have to buy fuel. You still have to pay the rent or build a house or buy clothes or eat. There are things that you still have to do. And once you move from there, this salary is no more going to come. So you have to design the business well. You have to design the business well. But the fact is that if you design it well, it will work. If you design it well and you're patient and you're committed and you keep learning, it will work. That's it. And you have no excuse to give up until I think you have tried about 10 of them, 10 of those businesses and they all failed. Then maybe you can say that I've tried. Until you have put about 10 years in it, then you can say I've tried. But I can tell you, by the time that you try about 5 of those businesses, by the time that you are in your fifth year, a lot of things will start to make sense to you. You see a lot of things clearly and you start to make sense. Then you start to become an expert at what you are doing. The business starts to make sense to you. Sometimes the business that you start with, the product that you start with, the idea that you start with, may not be that idea, may not be that business that even gives you the leverage for you to succeed. But the point is that is the starting and how well you start. It cannot just be talk. It comes to a point you just have to start something anyway. And if you start and it doesn't work, start another one. Because that is the path to business development. But because you are used to the corporate, so-called corporate, where everything is organized, classic, everything is categorized. Here is chaotic. Here is disorderly, at least from the beginning. Because you're testing an idea. You're testing a model, you're testing a business, you're testing yourself, you're testing your confidence, you're testing your capacity. There's a lot that are on test. And yet you have very limited resources to waste. And that makes it that much. And so you have to have robust emotional stability. I mean, you have to be strong emotionally. And mentally, you have to be stable. And you cannot attribute any difficulty to any devil. You cannot, you don't have to do that. When it's not working, sit back and look at the path, look at the analysis, look at the ways. Am I making sense or am I not making sense? What is responsible for this? Don't just be superstitious if things don't work right away. So it's a conversation that we had. It's a young man, he's ambitious, he wants to do something with his life, and we talked. And so you have to shift the employee. The moment you want to start this business, you have to shift from just thinking as an employee when everything is connected. And then you have to look at the people that you roll with, the friends. Once you start the business, all your friends before were corporate people, organized, collected, clean guys, suit, nice, white shirt, very, they do all the makeup and lipstick, very clean. Everything is clean. MBAs, things like that. But when you start here and you still keep those friends, you will give up. I'm not saying cut them, no. I'm just saying that you may have to add up the people who are doing this kind of things because you give up. Because the kind of conversations that you'll be having with them will be squarely opposite to the new lifestyle that you have as a business person. Because they'll be talking about salary increment, they'll be talking about the things that they talk about, and you know it because you're corporate one. But these other things that you talk about, when you talk about, they will disagree with you, they will debate with you. It will not make sense to them. And it will be a rift. You waste a lot of energy, a lot of time trying to convince this kind of people who have no idea the kind of things that you're experiencing because you started a business. And so you may want to look at your relationships and possibly add up, redefine it and look at those who are possibly doing the same thing and start to converse so that you will know where you are. The things that are happening is not like they are unique to you, they happen to everybody. But when you start a business and you're still keeping your corporate, organized, collected friends, it will be difficult for you to focus and to build. So you would want to focus, you would want to look at things that would help you to be focused on that which you're doing, to be stable in your choices and your decisions. As somebody who has started a business, you may want to look at that because it's not going to be straight. And so you look at your friends, and you look at that, you look at your comfort. It's not going to be comfortable too. So don't discuss comfort here. It's going to be destructive. It's going to be very much inconvenient for you. And for many years, it will be like that. So if you like the comfort, then don't start it. Like the comfort, don't start it. If you don't like the inconvenience, don't start it. If you don't like risk, don't start it. If you don't like the lack of funds, don't start it. If you are lazy, don't start it because it's going to take a lot of energy, a lot of stress, a lot. But the good thing is that when it starts to work, you will be able to do a lot in a short time. When the others are using 4 years to own a house, when the business is working, it can take you a few months to do those. Before you get there, there's a lot that you're going to take. So you may want to study a lot, read about people who are doing it, and build out of the culture. Build with the context. Don't superimpose on the culture. What I mean about it is that look at the products, the businesses, the services that are needed in the culture that majority of the people need. The people who are taking the trotro, the people who are taking the people who are taking, who are going to the market, the percentage, because the higher or the better the idea falls with the higher percentages, the better for you. But if you don't look out for this niche kind of business, I'm doing this niche few percentages kind of business. You want to do business that can have, that can be scaled, that can grow. Business that can grow to become a huge business. You don't want to waste your time trying to do this and then you are looking at consultants kind of business. So, and because you have that natural tendency to think like that, because that's all your training that you have had, where you're technically risk averse. When you have had about 10 years in the corporate world, you are risk averse. You don't like it. You don't like risk. You don't like failure. You don't like things that you can control. And yet, for the beginning of your business, a lot of things you can't control. A lot of things you cannot manage. And because you have been programmed, most of these corporate people have been programmed to think opposite to our culture, opposite to a lot of things that we do. Now you may have to just re-educate and retrain and redevelop the mindset that you have when it comes to business. And so those are the things that I think we shared with a friend. And we told him that you have to read a lot of books, train yourself, package yourself well, rediscover yourself, re-identify yourself, look at your strength, look at the things that you're bringing on board, look at the advantages and what are the things that you don't have. And if you have to partner with another person, go for somebody with a good heart, go for somebody with a clean heart, go for somebody who has some kind of values and ethics. They're very much important before you look at any technical expertise. Look for somebody who can dream and think big and endure pain and pressure. Look for that, because maybe along the line you would want to look at somebody coming in to join you, or sometimes along the line you may want to look at somebody who you can employ. When you're thinking of somebody you can employ in a kind of environment with this kind of businesses that is not stable, you would want to look at the background of the person you can bring on board. If you're looking for somebody who has endured anything, they will leave you in a minute. But to look for people who have endured something, who want to achieve something, who are ambitious, and who are looking for a place to establish their influence. Those are the things that you look for. Look for somebody who can endure pain. If you ever think of employing somebody at all, and look at somebody who is proud of himself, to hold dearly to values, to be honest, to be ethical, to be faithful, and to be hopeful that if they are part of the business that you're building in the future, it will become great. So these are some of the things that you have to think about if you are a corporate person. They call themselves a corporate. I don't know what it is. A corporate person that you are thinking of starting a business. Starting a business, but never feel like you have wasted your time there. You didn't waste your time. When you completed school and they gave you that job, you were very much happy. You praise God and you thank God and you gave testimony. How come after 10 years you feel like you have wasted your time? It was not a waste of time. It's an option that you chose. It's a decision that you made. And if you're thinking of making another decision, then don't let that one be as if somebody else enslaved you. It was not slavery. It was just a job that they offered you, and you were very happy when you had it from the beginning. And now that you are not unhappy, and now you are unhappy with it, don't curse yourself. Just start how you can reprogram yourself and go and start the business. But you need a lot of strength. You need a lot of courage. You need a lot of resilience for you to succeed at the other side. And it is crazy. It is started. It's not nice at the beginning. At the beginning, it gets to a point it starts to make sense. It gets to a point people will be proud of you if you're successful. It gets to a point you'll be able to employ people. You will see the fruit of your labor. You see an idea that you sat down, you plan, and you sketch it on table or in a book, and now it's a big reality. Because the bargain is it's fulfilling, it's enjoyable, and there's a lot of freedom and meaning as well. And meaning as well. You look back and say that, wow, I didn't know I could do this. So it's you just have to have an open mind and keep fighting and keep building yourself, because it's a whole shift. It's a whole shift of mind from being just a corporate person with your pride. The corporate people, when you meet them in town, you have met them. Suit, tie, nice shoe, nice car. The house was bought 3 years after school. Everything has been very nice for you. Now you go to start a business. Everything is not going to be nice like that. You may have to sell your house, sell your car. The business is growing to recapitalize the business. Or sometimes, if you made some mistakes and blunders, you may have to go and sell them to pay off. These are realities, but that's life. If you want the goal enough, you just have to sacrifice to get it. So don't just give a lot of options. If you want to go and win, then go and win. Just go and say that I want to do this business and I'm ready. After talking to a few people, A time will come that you have to just make that decision to say that I'm ready to start that business. Let whatever come. I win or I lose, And somebody said that you either win or either broke, something like that. So you just have to be crazy to make that choice and see that I want to give it a shot. And the business that you're working with that you're proud of, somebody else gave it a shot like that. Somebody else started it. And there were risk involved, there were doubt involved. There were things that people didn't agree with him, but they started. So they say you can start and maybe after 3, 4, 5 years, 10 years, you look back in that which you were contemplating, that you said that you're not happy with where you were working and you didn't have enough. Now it becomes a business. Now it becomes a business. Now it becomes something that you look back and say that I thank God I started this and I was able to develop it into something prominent. So that's what I have. That let's recap and we call it a day. So if it's a conversation that I had with somebody who has worked in the so-called corporate world for years, maybe 10 years or more, and is thinking of starting a business because he's tired. He says that he's tired of working for people. And my assumption is that you're not tired of working for people because they paid you, you know. And don't ever assume that going to work for yourself is easier. It's double the weight. You can't even be exponential. So you have to think outside comfort. You will have to think against being employed. There's a way employees think, and there's a way people who create the business think. They're not the same. And you have to take risk. You have to know the finances. It could be inconvenient. It could be dangerous. There's a lot that you have to learn about it. In the corporate, you work in one department. Now, when you start a business, every department you're working, at least until it starts to make revenue and it starts to make sense to you. And friends and family may not be happy with you that much, and they may not be proud. Before they will be proud of you, brother, yeah, you might have you come with your company car, everybody's happy. They look at you, they're glad. Now there's no company car, there's no company house, and everything else looks basa. But that's business. It's a risk. It's part of the risk that you said you're going to take. And so that is it. You have to have that robustness to handle that situation. And one of the things that will help you to handle that will be to read a lot of books, understand, condition yourself, understand the journey, the general journey of business, understand the product that you're doing, the business that you're doing, the environment, the economy, understand a lot of things. Read about how to understand your strength, your weakness, how to build a team, how to set goals, how to build a business that can it can grow. There are things that there's a lot of information that you have to have yourself if you're going to succeed in this kind of environment. And just make sure that you're authentic, you're a thinker, you're a good person. And stay with the core values. You have to have strong core values and abide by them, because eventually those things will help you to succeed. And until you have given about 10 times try at your business or companies and you collapse them and you didn't succeed, or you have been in this thing for about 10,000 hours or maybe 10 years, you have no excuse that you didn't succeed. Because if you're pushing enough, long enough, it'll work. And sometimes the idea will work, not maybe. The idea that will work may not be the idea that you even started with. And Ghana needs people like you. Ghana needs people to start businesses and people who would have the ability to grow the businesses and build, companies. We may have the need for a lot of people like that. So if you have the courage and you have the confidence to start something like that, be proud of yourself and never look back. Just be prepared to do whatever you have to do to win. Doesn't matter what you have to do. Just go and continue to develop, continue to try, continue to give it a shot. It will be controversial, it will be painful, you'll be disagreed, you'll be ridiculed, you'll be cheated, you'll be lied to. They are all just part of the journey. It may not be part of the corporate journey, but they're just part of this journey of business. So if you didn't grow up with that kind of thinking, then if you try one, it doesn't work, you want to go back, you want to run and go back and cry. But if you precondition yourself, then there's nothing that can stop you from winning, because it's doable. People have done it, and you can also do it. And look, Look, it's if you look everywhere of our economy needs people like that. That's what they didn't tell you. Everywhere of the economy needs people. Everywhere of our economy needs better services, better customer services, better products, better processes. Everywhere, take any industry, you need better services and products. And so, if you start like that and you decide to give it the best of service in that kind of industry, you will win. And that one is not a prophecy. You will win because it is needed. That's what makes people succeed. So if you focus on giving the best of service to your customers, and you're disciplined enough and you do your things well, you will win. That is certain. You will win. So a conversation with a corporate person who is tired of working for others and be thinking of starting a business. It was a nice conversation. That's a nice conversation. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you. And so go and start. Have your own conversation. Never be scared. Never worry about all those things that can come up. Whatever can come up may come up, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean of the dream that you so wish to have, than living old and regretting that you didn't try that idea that you have. That idea that you have. So, or that idea that you had. So thank you very much for watching. Thank you for watching. Abe, thank you.